Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into this Sports Insanity Network live update. I am Mike Rifkin, covering some breaking news out of the world of the National Football League. The New York Jets have fired head coach Robert Saleh after 3+ seasons as the team's head coach. Let me read this statement from Woody Johnson, the team's owner. Quote, this is from the Jets' Twitter account. Quote, this morning I informed Robert Saleh that he will no longer serve as the head coach of the Jets. I thanked him for his hard work these past 3.5 years and wished him and his family well moving forward. This was not an easy decision, but we are not where we should be given our expectations, and I believe now is the best time for us to move in a different direction. Jeff Ulbrich, who's the defensive coordinator, will serve as our interim head coach for the remainder of the season. He is a tough coach who has the respect of the coaches and players on this team. I believe he, along with the coaches on the staff, can get the most out of our talented team and attain the goals we established this offseason, close quote. So that comes from Woody Johnson. I'm going to tackle the quote, and then I'm going to get into my own thoughts here. I'm going to take the first part aside. I'm going to go to that bottom part really quick, where Woody Johnson says he is a tough coach who has the respect of the coaches and players. Does that mean someone didn't respect Robert Saleh? And if not, we know who that person is. We know that person. And that person is the quarterback. It's Aaron Rodgers. Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk says this all the time, and I very much agree with this take. And it's the Jets sold their soul to Aaron Rodgers, and last year he tore his Achilles. This is the only guaranteed year of Aaron Rodgers. That's why the Jets are legitimately all in. But were there coaches who didn't like Robert Saleh? That's the part that gets me. I'm wondering that as I read this along. Okay. And that's kind of the biggest part I took away from Woody's quote. Saleh was 20-36 in his 3+ seasons as the Jets head coach. So the first question on everyone's mind is, did Robert Saleh deserve to be fired? The answer is an astounding 1,000% yes. Robert Saleh deserved to be fired. Robert Saleh also deserved to be fired in the offseason when this should have taken place. The excuse of not having Aaron Rodgers last year did not take away from the fact that this team has been the same over the last 3.5 years with Robert Saleh. Very talented defense. They're undisciplined. They don't have games where they force. Now, they had a good game on Sunday against Minnesota. They forced some turnovers. They got pressure on Sam Darnold. The defense was not the problem. Problem's the other side of the ball. They've scored the same amount of points this year as they did at this point last year. Last year's quarterback was Zach Wilson. This one's Aaron Rodgers. But here would be my question to Woody Johnson. And I know the answer, so this is just hypothetical. Why is Nathaniel Hackett still employed? Defense pretty good. Defense good. Defense is very good. Why is Nathaniel Hackett still employed? Because the quarterback's calling the shots. It's that simple. According to Jordan Schultz, defensive players were shocked by this announcement. And also, according to Jordan Schultz, this doesn't do anything in their chase of Devontae Adams, which doesn't shock me. Again, Aaron Rodgers calling the shots. Here's the thing. And I don't know how Jeff Ulbricht's going to do. We don't know. This team has to win now. This team embarrassed itself 2 weeks ago when they lost to the Denver Broncos. They embarrassed themselves. And what I mean by embarrass themselves is you put up 9 points against Denver, you gave up 10 and you lost to a team where their quarterback threw for under 100 yards. Then you fly to London. Okay? The Vikings go up 17-0. It doesn't look good. You make a little bit of a comeback. You still lose 23-17. Now you get an extra day off here. When, by the way, you probably should take them by, but digress. You're going to play the Bills on Monday night at home. Bills are coming off back-to-back losses. That now becomes a must-win game. Then they go to Pittsburgh, New England, who they'll beat. Then they play Houston. And that'll take them, I believe, up to their bye week. But that's the upcoming schedule. So it's Buffalo, Pittsburgh, New England, Houston, bye week. So they can go 3-1 in that stretch. They really could. Houston's a good football team, though. Buffalo's a good football team. New England, they should really have an issue with they didn't the first time. And Pittsburgh, if you listen to any of the football shows, I'm not a high believer. But for me, to put all of this blame on the head coach is wrong. For this reason, we knew Robert Saleh couldn't coach. This didn't take rocket science. We knew Robert Saleh couldn't coach because of how bad this team had played before. This move should have taken place in the offseason, and they gone from there. Instead, Aaron Rodgers was like, no, let's cook it. We got Robert, got Joe Douglas, we got Hackett. We go from there. Now the pressure's on the quarterback. He's got to play better than how he's played so far this year. That's it. That's as simple as this gets for this franchise. For the first time since he's on the team, Woody Johnson has fired a coach in season. Also, remember that this was not Woody Johnson's hire. This was Christopher Johnson's hire. Woody was still the ambassador to the UK at the time. This franchise is so. Today's a win because Robert Saleh deserved to be fired. But long term, I have no idea what this franchise is. Nothing. I don't know. You're invested in a 40-year-old quarterback who looks like he's a 40-year-old quarterback. Your young stud wide receiver is finally coming off of a great game. Huge. You got to find a way to get the running game going. But I think that there are two things that I think really cost Robert Saleh his job. The game against Denver not being his fault, but there were two things he did during that game. 13 penalties accepted, I think 15 in total. That didn't change from the norm. That is, this team is always undisciplined. And two, when he talked about the cadence from Aaron Rodgers, the snap count, and they had 5 false starts or whatever it was. And Aaron Rodgers said postgame, it's accountability. You got to hold people accountable for that. Well, they've held Robert Saleh accountable because now he's gone. Jeff Ulbrich takes over. I've got no idea what to expect out of Jeff Ulbrich. But it doesn't matter how good Jeff Ulbrich is if Aaron Rodgers doesn't play better. If Aaron Rodgers does not play better, this team's going nowhere. And I'm going to further a statement. People are going to call me crazy for this. Are we necessarily sure Davante Adams fixes everything for this team? Now, he'll fix certain things. He'll fix Alan Lazard dropping passes because now more targets will go to Davante and less to Alan Lazard. But the penalties, that going to help? I don't know. I'm very intrigued by what the next couple of weeks bring for this football team, starting Monday night against the Buffalo Bills. But Robert Saleh did deserve to be fired. He will go be a defensive coordinator somewhere next year. I'm almost 1,000% certain of that because he was a great DC. Unless that was just the talent of San Francisco. I don't know. But I think he'll get an opportunity to be a DC somewhere. And look, coaching in New York's not like coaching anywhere else. He got 3+ years. If you want to make the excuse he never had a real quarterback, that's fine. But at the end of the day, you got to win. And he was 20-36. And the light at the end of the tunnel was just, it's the same stuff. They're undisciplined. They find ways to lose games. Obviously, there was some sort of disconnect between him and Aaron Rodgers behind the scenes, even though up front they'll tell you they were good when they really weren't. This franchise is in a tough place right now because of this reason. We don't know what the future holds for Aaron Rodgers. We don't know. We simply just do not know. It's going to be an interesting watch the rest of the year. Get your popcorn ready, people, because this is going to go one of two ways. This goes really, really good, and they become an instant contender. Or it goes the other way, and everyone's throwing each other under the bus. It doesn't get more dramatic. It doesn't. But we'll see what happens. Again, Jeff Ulbrich will take over for Robert Saleh, who was fired after 3+ years, 20-36 record. We'll have more coverage of the Robert Saleh firing. Thursday Night Gridiron will cover it. Sunday Sideline Report will cover it. Check those out right here on the SIN YouTube page. Follow us on the socials, Facebook, Sports Insanity Network, Twitter at SInsanityReal. Like, subscribe, comment on here. Click the bell for notifications. When we go live for certain things, Thursday Night Gridiron will be live on Thursday night before the Seahawks play the 49ers. And then Sunday morning, we will be live before kickoff of every game, covering the big news. But until then, everyone have a fantastic rest of their Tuesday. I'm Mike Rifkin for the Sports Insanity Network. This was breaking news covering Robert Saleh being fired by the New York Jets after 3+ seasons. Everyone have a great Tuesday.